Good day, everyone. Today we are going to create a concept map using Microsoft PowerPoint. So let me just share. So as you can see here, I already have downloaded a sample of a regular concept map, how it usually looks like. This one came from this source. So the concept map actually represents the important topics that you have to consider in an encompassing concept. So now, if you hear about concept maps, definitely that would represent organized knowledge of what it's composed of concepts. So what are the elements of a concept map that is present here in the example? So we have the concepts that's inside the shapes. You also have the arrows that would represent the relationship of one concept to another. And in between those arrows, you can also specify what kind of relationship is present between the concepts. So just like this one, the arrow represents the term represents. This arrow represents the term connected by, and many more. Okay? Concept that I would like to use is of our identity, my identity. Okay? So I'm going to create a new slide. So I'm going to right click on the left panel and then just select new slide. Okay. Now I don't want any of this. Why? Because if we try to use the smart graphic to draw our concept map, what we have available are this. But yes, we can use this smart art graphics, no, that's embedded within the PowerPoint, but they're not that fluid. And therefore, it may not represent what we understand in a particular concept that we want to share. Okay. So these are just guides that we can use though, but we won't be using them in this video. Okay. So we're going to create our own. So let's close this and remove this by clicking the outer side and then hitting delete on our keyboard. Okay, so we now have a blank slide. So the first thing that we have to put in our slide is the main concept. So we're thinking or we are considering identity. So as you can see here, only words and shapes are present because this is a concept map. So we are going to do that as well. In the Insert tab, we have the following options. Okay, what we're going to use is the icons, and I'd like to um, have the main idea inside an icon. So since that is an idea, maybe I can use either a light bulb there or the brain icon. So I have this and I have this, but I'd like to use this one. So not all of the icons are embedded or readily available, it will download. So I have this now. So you can do a lot of stuff with these icons. I'd like to have this face the left side. In order for us to make sure that it is in the center, we can use the View tab and then hit the ruler and the guides boxes. So as you can see, it's almost at the center. You can just move it there. Now we'll try to edit some things about these graphics. So you can see if you select this graphic, you will have a new tab called the graphics format. So it contains some options that you can use. So earlier, we tried to rotate it, right? So, but we want to have it stay like that for now. We can adjust the size by clicking the vertex of this icon and then drag it outward or inward depending on your preference. You can also change the size of this graphics by inputting the height and weight here in this tab. So if we want to change the color, we just have to um, click on the graphics fill. So it will change its colors. Okay. So for now, I want to change the size of this graphics. And since I claim to be a person that is environment friendly, I'd like to use the color green for my icon. Okay. Now, now that we have the icon at the center, we can add shapes and text to it. So this time we're going to add a shape. This time we're going to add a text. So insert tab. On the insert tab, we click the draw a text box and then click on the slide and you can type what we want to type here. So I'm going to type identity and then you may change the font style of this to match what you where you will put it. So I'm going to use something that I already have here. Um, Probably this. So now that I have this, I can move it here. I can click this and group it with the original graphic by hitting Control and then click and use right click and then group for Control plus G. Okay, let me just resize that. So now I have the main idea at the center. We're now going to come up with the sub ideas. So when we discuss identity, so you have a lot of um, connected ideas to it. So let's put that here. I'm going to create a template for my sub ideas and the ideas under it as well. So insert shapes. I want a circle. So I'm going to use the oval shape. So what I did is I click on the slide and then I drag it until I form a circle and then I will release it. Now I can change the color of the shape by right click and then we have here the fill option, change the color. So I want it lighter and I don't want the line, so I click again for outline, no outline. Okay. Why? Because I'm going to add another shape, which is a hollow circle. So insert shapes and hollow circle. A hollow circle is a circle that doesn't have the inner part, much like a donut. So click again and then drag to create your shape there. Now I don't want that covering my original circle, so I'm going to click on the orange circle here and then go inwards there. Then I'm going to reposition it so that it's in the center. There we go. Now I don't want the outline of this as well, so just like earlier, right click, outline, select no outline, and then you can change the color to match. Next is we'll teach how to group. So we can group this again. So click the elements, then right click group or the control G, and you can move it. So this is one of the sub ideas that I want to have. Now, what if we want smaller ideas in this sub idea? So if you don't want the same color for these two shapes, you can do so. You can just ungroup them. You can only do that by right click and then hit group and then ungroup. No? So I think I like this one to be darker. There you go. So they are of the same color. Then I may group them again. There you go. Now I can increase the size of that or decrease the size of that depending on what I want. For sub ideas, we can just copy this shape by right click and then copy, then paste um, as use destination theme, or just undo it, click on the shape, Control C, Control V. So those are the shortcuts again for copy and paste. So we got C, Control V, Control C, Control V. Okay. Now we can reposition this. Yeah. So we would like to bring this back into a group element. So select, then hit Control, then select the other circle, then Control G for grouping. Then we can move it. And then we reposition our objects. Okay, so something like this. So this part could be one of our grouped ideas. So as a template, we can insert text boxes to it. So again, from the Insert tab, click Insert Box, put it here, and type in first concept. Then you can just change the font style however you want it. So we'll use the style that we had earlier. Okay. Now, how are we going to connect our main concept to our first concept? So remember that we will use arrows. So from the insert tab, we go back to the shapes, and then we don't want to use we can use this particular arrow called the curved arrow. So from the graphic icon, we can connect it however we want. So we will do it something like this. As you can see, it's default blue color, so we can change the color. Um, I'd like to use black. So outline black. Okay. And from the first concept to the examples or sub ideas, you can connect them by using the rigid arrow. So insert shapes and then the line arrow. From here, there, we, we can just change first the color, right click, outline, and then use the black color. Then copy and paste. So we will have another one in that orientation. Copy, paste. We'll have another one. Just change the orientation. You want the back part here and the arrowhead connected here. And then you can reposition this as well. So since these are examples, we can insert a text box. So from the insert tab, text box here. So example, you can use the default font style that I've been using. The same with the other shapes. So select it. For the last one, select the shape, insert text box. Okay. Automatically, it will be at the center. Change that. This is example 2. This is example 1. Now, if you want to add 2 or 3 more concepts, what we're going to do is just copy the elements that we have already made. So just click on it and Control C, Control V, and then reposition it wherever you want it to. And just change what's inside it. So this one will be the second concept. And copy the other elements. So you can copy one by one or as a simultaneously. So Control C, Control V. And when you move it, it'll move simultaneously as well. But it's not in one group. You can still reposition them like that. Okay. So I'm going to um, fill up this slide with 2 more concepts. So we'll have our third and fourth concept. So I can copy as a group, Control C, Control V. If I remember, then I can still reposition them. You have the option to align them from the element on top or at the bottom. And lastly, okay, and the last thing that we have to do is to um, put in the arrows. So you already have the curved arrow here. You just have to copy that, Control C, Control V, then reposition it, connect that here. So I'd like to do that, connect that here, copy again, here, copy again, Control C, Control V, and like that here. Okay. Now, all of the major concepts have been connected to our main concept. Now it's the time to connect the examples to the concepts. So we use these solid arrows, but we already have that here. So we just copy, Control C, Control V, then reposition them. And there you have it. We now have a template for a simple concept map that includes four sub-concepts and that will provide three examples for each of the concepts. This is a bit different from what we had earlier, but it's still another example of a concept map. So I'd like to say like in my desktop, so concept, okay, and then I'd like to remove this, delete, delete, and then if you're done with the concept map, done designing and all of that, you may save it as um, an image. So concept map, then just change the file type into either JPEG, JPG, or PNG. So I will use PNG for this. So it would ask which slides do you want to export. So I only have one slide though, so just this one. And close it.